Much, Pam, and thank you very much, members and guests of the Greater Palmer Chamber of Commerce, Greater Wasilla Chamber of Commerce, and the Big Lake Chamber of Commerce. It's great to have everybody here today. Really packed house, which means that we're really interested in what's going to be happening. And we happen to have three folks with us here that are going to help us determine what's going to happen over the next several years here in the borough as they run for the Mat-Su Borough Assembly. And we're fortunate to have with us Mr. Steve Colligan, who is a candidate for Assembly, Mr. Pat Johnson, candidate for Assembly, and Mr. Darcy Salmon, also candidate for Assembly. Now the borough election is October the, is it the 8th? 4th. October the 4th. So that will be the borough election, which is a municipal election. So also for those candidates with for Wasilla and Palmer, those elections will happen at the same time. So a lot of stuff going on, as well as the bonds that you just heard about for the road bonds and for the school district. So anyway, what we would like to do today is give us a little bit of introduction to our three candidates for the Mat-Su Borough Assembly. To make things get started here, we're going to give each of them 3 minutes to introduce themselves. We'll have about probably 5 questions. They'll each have a minute to answer those questions, and then we'll have a 3-minute wrap-up. Our timer today is sitting right in front of us. When you get close, she's got little things here that say 1 minute. I think there's a 30 seconds, and then there's a time up or something like that. Can't remember exactly. Stop. There we go. Stop sign. There we go. We use the road bonds to buy stop signs. That worked out really well. So anyway, so what we'll do is we'll get started with our introductions here. Let me make sure the mic is on. And looks like the mic is on. So first we will ask Borough Assembly candidate Mr. Steve Colligan for a 3-minute introduction. You may stay at the table if you like. You may stand. You may come over here, whatever you're more comfortable with. Mr. Steve Colligan.
I'll stand. Thank you for having me here today. It's nice to be among peers and business folks. I'm excited about the opportunity to serve as a Mat-Su Borough Assembly person representing Wasilla. I'm a lifelong Alaskan father. I've been married for 27 years to the same lady. I have 2 children, 14 and soon to be 18. Actually should be 18 on October 4th, election night, so I have some logistical challenges on election day. They both attend Wasilla High School. We live half a block. It's probably faster to walk to school than try and warm up a car for my children to get to school. And they are my special interest. Redheads at my house rule the world, and I am running for office because I'm worried about their future and what life in the valley will be like in the future. I'm a successful businessman and entrepreneur. I've been running business for 25 years. I own a white-collar business doing software and engineering, design, 3D visualization. I support all sorts of different companies from engineering firms to government and consulting. I've done consulting from the city of LA and Long Beach, back in the East Coast, Anne Arundel County. Have offices all over, and have done well. And I know how to create jobs. My mission in life is to diversify our economy and figure out how to create jobs and wealth in our economy. We can continue to fight and wrestle over the same last dollar, or we can figure out how to diversify our economy and create new jobs and wealth that then are available for education and other things that we need. But in order to be successful, government needs to partner with the private sector. We need to work together. They can't happen individually. They will not succeed. I've been successful at creating new jobs, and I grew up in my business on the term differentiate or die. I think it's time for us as a community to look at our strengths, find jobs that are unique, that we have unique advantages, either logistically or otherwise, and create unique opportunities. And we also need to support our port. Everybody seems to be in favor of the port, but very few people have really thought about what makes it successful, or know that it was just the last year that we started generating revenue at the port. We need to look at the industries that put products on and off the port to make that successful, to generate more revenue, to fund our education, all the quality of life things that we need. My special interest in my business, I've worked successfully with universities on research and development, clean jobs. I went down to NASA Ames and helped forge the NASA space agreement with the state of Alaska recently. We have some unique advantages. We have the best and worst of terrain, the best and worst of weather, and the best and worst of communications. We can be unique. We need to partner with industry. Our government needs to partner with industry, and I look forward to talking to you more in the future. Thank you.
very much, Mr. Steve Colligan. If we could now ask Mr. Pat Johnson for a 3-minute opening statement, please.
I'll use the podium. Hello, I'm Pat Johnson. I'm candidate for Borough Assembly District 4, the Wasilla area. Thanks for putting on this forum today. It's great to be here in Palmer at fair time. I can remember back in it's about 1970 working building the Slippery Gulch booth, which is still there. My background in public service began in Vietnam with the Navy Seabees, which led to my career in construction and a lifetime of community involvement in Wasilla. I volunteered in church, public schools, with the Boy Scouts, and worked on borough platting and planning boards and the school site selection committee. Military, job, and volunteer services taught me to listen carefully, get facts, find opinions, and make sound decisions. Basically, the kind of common sense we need at the borough. Our borough assembly should be about people, not about politics. We all need a good economic future, good roads, and making sure our kids get a good education. That's why I've decided to bring my many years of Valley Public Service to work as a strong voice for our Wasilla area district. My life in the Valley has been pretty wonderful in the last 46 years. My wife Ann and I are very proud of our son Leaf, who currently attends Dartmouth College. I want to make sure that he and that all children have the best opportunities to raise a family in our wonderful valley. My life in the construction business has taught me to be fiscally conservative. We need to use our public funds more wisely and find good solutions to tough budget decisions. We need to carefully consider our costs and how they will be paid. To sit in a ferry is a case in point. As the fastest growing area in the state and the healthiest economy in the state, we can build a prosperous economy for our children and grandchildren. Good paying, family wage jobs that build healthy communities. I bring longtime connections to my community and real work experience to get the job done for us here in the Valley. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pat Johnson. If we could now ask Darcy Salmon for a 3-minute opening statement. Thank you, Darcy.
Thank you, and thanks for having me here today. I'm going to choose the third and lesser choice and remain seated, as my legs don't work all that well, and that's relative to my relationship to the District 5 from which I'm running for office. Many of you have known me. I've served the public here in many capacities. First with the borough on the overall Economic Development Commission years ago, which led me into the Resource Conservation and Development Council at a local, Pacific Rim and national level. I've served on the Mascot Board of Directors. I still serve on the Mascot Board of Directors. I've served on the Wasilla Chamber of Commerce. Served on the Knickarn Bridge and Toll Authority for 6 years. Janet now represents our borough in that respect, and she's doing a very fine job there. But the things people have asked me, why would you run for the Assembly having once been the mayor? And the answer to that is quite simple, is that when I was the mayor, we put in motion a course of events that have taken 10 years to come to a point where they're about to bear fruit. The economic generator, in my opinion, for the entire borough can be and should be at the Point McKenzie area. I call it the Golden Triangle, from Willow to Point McKenzie to Wasilla to Willow, with a beautiful gem in the middle called Big Lake. That can generate more economic activity, and it's large enough to be its own borough if it was anywhere else in the country. But as Pat pointed out, we're the fastest growing area in the state. Well, I live in the fastest growing area of the fastest growing area of the state. And so the school issue is getting outside of the industry, which I'm well known and expected to speak about, but I'm more interested in working on it. the public safety issues, the school issues, the infrastructure issues, the road upgrades. I got a history on Kinnick Road, if many of you don't know that. My wife passed away in an auto accident there, and I was hit in an auto accident there, and I'm telling you right now that it's not any better. It's worse if there ever was, with the 14,000 cars or so a day coming down there. Something's got to be done. The school site selection has to be comprehensive and unique in its selection, because it's going to be putting our children right back out there on that self-same Kinnick Road. So in my opinion, they go hand in hand together. I have married 3 children, all went through the public school system, served in the Air Force, graduated from Hillsdale College in Hillsdale, Michigan. I think it's important to know I was also raised in a community of 550 people, so small town, born and bred in me at the beginning. I've watched Wasilla grow. I've been here for 32 years. Part of my contention is now that Houston is what Wasilla was when I came back up here in 1981. So things are, the West is the best, and things are moving. And so outside of my own district, which is self-evident what's happening there and the things that can and should be done, we've got movement to the northwest, and Palmer's got its own issues, and Sutton's got issues with coal. And my relationship to this borough through 27 years of selling real estate, I'm done. Selling real estate, I know it's from Talkeetna to Sutton to Glen Ellen to Wasilla to the point. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Darcy Salmon, and thank you all candidates for good opening statements there. The way the forum is set up at this point, we have 5 questions that we will address. All 3 candidates will address the same question, and each candidate will have 1 minute in which to address the question. So it's more of a soundbite opportunity than a real deep thought opportunity, but hopefully it gives you, the members of the audience, and the voters here for the Mat-Su Borough, some food for thought so that you can contact the candidates to find out a little bit more about where they stand. Since we started with Mr. Culligan for the opening statements, we'll start with Mr. Johnson on the first question. Mr. Johnson and other candidates, public safety is of course a huge concern here in the borough. Public safety is primarily handled by the Alaska State Troopers for the borough. We are the fastest growing area in the state, one of the fastest growing areas in the nation. Do we need to look at public safety differently? Are the troopers sufficient? Do we need a local sheriff's office? How should we handle public safety in the future? Mr. Pat Johnson.
Thank you. I think that it might be time that we consider our own police force. When I go door to door in Wasilla, I sense a lot of gratitude for the police there. I think we could have the same thing borough-wide. I think an alternative might be to spread the police forces out a little bit further than the city limits. And I think that would help some. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. If we could now ask Darcy Salmon the same question. Darcy, how should we handle public safety in the future? Are the troopers the way to go, or do we need a different answer?
Well, it's not just the troopers. When I think of public safety, I also think of the fire departments, and they're bound one and hand, and so vigilance and a comprehensive outlook and perpetual education to the public. The city of Wasilla has a sales tax, and they pay for that. So you can't just create a borough police force, because we're already looking, if you look at these bonds, and it's callous to just presume that you got 214 in the school bond and 62 million in the road bond, and then you take that individually. It doesn't seem like that much, but realistically, as I'm doing the math, it puts about $20 a month on your personal taxes that it takes away. So now you're going to add a police force. Well, that's more taxes. Nothing comes for free. So do we need it? Probably. How are we going to pay for it? That's always the question. My contention is we pay for it by bringing in industry. We bring it into Point McKenzie. We build $200 million plants and bring in mining, and we bring that money and that product to the port, and then we have taxes from big industry to pay for these things such as police. And I'm almost sure those folks would love to have a police department out in Point McKenzie to protect their investments.
Thank you very much, Darcy Salmon. Mr. Pat Culligan, same question for you, sir. As the protection we get, excuse me,
that would be Steve Culligan.
Sorry.
I'd like to expand on what Darcy says. I actually have to have personal knowledge in this industry. I helped build a dispatch center in Wasilla, and there's many, in my mind, cost savings to be had in public safety. As a consultant to the state, we